that is really a great opportunity, I think, in terms of us really sort of taking the lead on this whole wealth creation thing, is getting our kids ready. I don't think any other community is really doing this en masse. They're having little conversations about wealth, but as a financial scientist, I can tell you that this makes a dramatic difference in terms of economic outcomes. And it's little things, and you don't have to be smart to do it. You don't have to have a lot of knowledge about investing to do it. You just have to do it in little basic baby things, baby steps makes the difference. All right, so put your question in the Q&A section, and I'm going to answer it. What investing opportunities might there be in terms of rebuilding LA? That's a great question, Christian. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if it sounds terrible to even talk about investing opportunities in LA like right now while the city's going through this, but it is going to be a money grab for somebody, right? Politicians tend to, they tend to sort of they have that saying. I think Rahm Emanuel's saying was like, "Did never waste a good crisis." And so whether you're talking about Democrats or Republicans, they always see the money first. And I know money is a big part of the discussion about LA in terms of what happened here, why certain precautions weren't taken, who's going to get that property, insurance. We talked about insurance, and that's a big issue. A lot of insurance companies have backed out of LA in California right before, um, you know, um, a lot of people have backed out of California right before the big fires happened, and people think it's a conspiracy theory, but I don't think you need a conspiracy to understand what was going on. A lot of people knew that there was a big risk of a brush fire like that. A lot of people knew, and they knew that if the wind was too heavy, that it could actually destroy the whole city. You could have an Armageddon almost type of scenario in that city, and that's what they got. They got hell in a handbasket, and it got really messy. And as a result of that, a lot of people have lost everything. And so I think that the questions I ask myself, economically speaking, is one, is there something that could have been done to keep the insurance companies in California? I'm a believer in free markets, and I think sometimes, I'm a little bit left and a little bit right. I'm not. I try not to be. I don't like being overly conservative because that's too capitalist, but I don't like being overly liberal because sometimes liberal is too willy-nilly, wide open. Let's just make everything okay. And I don't believe in that either. I believe in standards and expectations, and I don't think that being black is the same as being gay. And like I don't, just so stuff like that is like, come on, man, that's too much for me. So at the end of the day, I just really wonder what the policies were that made it hard for those insurers to stay in California because they were operating in other states, but then again, the other states didn't have the wildfires, right? So maybe that, but then it's like, okay, but could you prevent the wildfires? Like, what is it? So there's a lot of hard questions that are going to be answered. And I bet you a lot of them are going to link back to money, starting with the insurance companies. Why did you leave and, not cover people? But then you go into rebuilding. A lot of money is going to be made in rebuilding. There's a big economic question of who gets the land after all this is done. A lot of people are just going to give up and go, and I think that how people respond is going to be determined by their socioeconomic situation. So, what's interesting also about this tragedy in Los Angeles is not just that a lot of wealth was lost and a lot of people got harmed. It's that a lot of rich people got harmed. A lot of the people that lost everything were like, worth 50 million to $100 million. And they had these big mansions that were catching on fire, celebrities who were hit. So when the celebrities and the rich people start being affected by government policies, you see people changing real quick. That's one thing about conservatives have their own stuff. They have their own hypocrisies for sure. Like for example, like that person who's extremely anti-gay and it turns out that they're anti-gay because they're gay themselves. Right? That's the funny thing about the conservatives, but then the liberals funny thing is they tend to love a policy as long as it doesn't affect them, right? They like things in theory. They're like, they make the joke about liberals being the latte sippers, from Yale University who talk about things in theory, but if you remember, even with immigration, they were okay with open borders until they started shipping the immigrants to their cities. They said, "Oh, you're a sanctuary city. Okay, let us dump 100,000 new people into your city and crush your resources, and then you can tell us how you feel about these policies that you have." Well, same thing might be true with some of the policies in terms of water supply and what's money spent on in California now that their actual houses have burned down, now that they've lost, a lot of them have lost everything. I'd be curious to know how if that shifts or impacts your political disposition, because I can tell you, I think one thing about conservative policies is that they tend to be more into free markets to some extent, except for like things like subsidies for businesses and stuff. They love to subsidize corporations, but not people, which is one issue, one reason why I have to admit I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but they wouldn't. But if California is more conservative, I think they probably would have told insurance companies that you can charge whatever you want. We're not going to put a cap on we're not going to do a price control on how much you can charge. Charge what you got to charge. Whatever it costs for you to, insure somebody, then charge them that. Give them the option of paying that price. It's almost like the debate about payday lenders. A lot of people say payday lenders should be banished and eliminated from poor communities. I don't agree with that because some people need payday lenders because they don't have a bank. They're like, no, I need the payday lender because I do need the money and I'll pay a 30% interest rate to get my money right now because I need it. I've been in that situation where I didn't care what the interest rate was. I needed money, right? And so if you take away my option to get money, even at a high cost, I don't know if you're necessarily helping me. You might be protecting me to some extent, but you're also causing me a lot of economic pain if you don't provide an adequate replacement. If you're not willing to subsidize and provide a replacement for what you've taken away from me, then I'm not going to be happy, even if you claim that you're helping and protecting me. Another area where the economics comes in, like I said, okay, so the money for rebuilding, the fact that rich people are affected, I think rich people being affected is different. Rich people are not as quick to just pack up and just say, well, I got to start over again, because they're rich. There's a privilege and an expectation that comes with being wealthy. You're going to defend your wealth. They're going to file lawsuits. They're going to do all these they're going to do investigations. Poor people might just say, we lost our house, we lost everything. We're just going to move out to Atlanta or something and try to rebuild. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that all kind of plays out. It's not done. I tell you what that. I mean that much. I mean I was really surprised. I was like, wow, y'all don't have any water. Ooh, the hydrant's empty. The what do they call them? Did they call them aqueducts or reservoirs? The reservoir is empty. How'd the reservoir get empty? Did you not know that you had a fire risk? I don't know. I don't get it. So anyway, let me see here. What programs do you offer for first time investing? You can start, Kevin, maybe with blackmoney101.com. That's blackmoney101.com. That's a good place to start. You also, if you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, there's a $5 a day plan there. That's blackwealthmasterplan.com. Or just say blackmoney101.com. That's easier to remember. Calvin, please share thoughts on the cause of the massive fires. Oh, thoughts on the causes. So you're talking about whether it was arson or something else. I can't speculate one way or the other, but it is interesting. I'm sure that there are arsonists somewhere in California, right? And I'm sure that the arsonists maybe saw this as an opportunity. Do I believe that arsonists started all these fires? I would find that hard to believe. I would need some strong evidence to believe that. But then again, anything is possible. I know whenever there's a tragedy, there's always conspiracy theories. There's always people that come back and say, well, this disaster happened because rich people got together and decided they wanted to do blah blah blah. And the reason that that's easy to believe is because sometimes that does occur. Sometimes rich people can be sneaky and they can make a conniving move to get their to extract wealth from poor people. One aspect of wealth that's interesting to me is one, I always say that Warren Buffett described wealth as a transfer from impatient people to patient people. So anybody who believes in instant gratification is going to lose their wealth to someone who believes in delayed gratification because they'll just wait you out. Also, those who have a plan tend to have more wealth. So rich people getting into a room and making plans, yes, that does occur. I've seen it happen. I've seen wealthy people get together and have meetings, secret meetings on how they're going to control the world. I got invited to something like that. I had this guy, he was a white billionaire who I think I think it was a libertarian. And he said to me, he said, I think he said something like he said, I like what you're doing. I like your platform. And I said, thank you. And he said, hey, if you want to get some of your friends together and we meet in the mountains and make a plan for the black community, I can fund that. He was offering to like pay for the gathering for us to get together and plan what's going to happen in the black community. And I was like, no, thank you. When we make the plans, you're not going to be invited, buddy. But it was kind of interesting. It was like, and I really believe that that's what happened even in the civil rights movement. I think that the civil rights movement was funded by probably communists. I think there's a lot of communist influence in the Black Panther movement, civil rights movement. Like, why else would black people be calling each other comrade? Unless you've been introduced to Marxism and communism and all that. Again, I'm not trying to say it wasn't beneficial or anything like that, but I'm saying that it's not a coincidence. Like the Black Lives Matter movement was led by three trained Marxists. So they make plans and they train people on those plans and the structure and the process. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that whatever your agenda is, I think you should get your soldiers together and make a plan. I get together with y'all and we make plans all the time. Our plan is powernomics. Okay, let's get our kids ready, get them prepared for the future. Let's really think about wealth. Let's train ourselves at the highest levels, and let's really make decisions that are going to benefit ourselves. So now the thing about wealth, though, about the conspiracy theories, though, is that a lot of people believe that wealth is inherently evil. That because you're rich, that means you must be a terrible person who's doing horrible things to other people. I don't agree with that. I think wealth becomes evil when it's in the hands of an evil person. Wealth does not have a personality. Wealth does not have a moral predisposition. The money in your pocket didn't wake up today saying, "I'm gonna kill somebody today," or I don't like white people, or I don't like black people. Like your wealth does not do that. Your money and your dollar bills just sit there, and they're just like, "Okay, sir, what do you want me to do next?" They're little economic soldiers. They will go out and do whatever you tell them to do. Just like a gun, just like a drug, just like fire. Fire is not evil. Fire just does what God designed it to do. So an evil person in control of fire can harm a lot of people, but a good person that has access to fire can help a lot of people. So I don't think money's evil, and I think that anybody who trains you to believe that money's evil or that every rich person is terrible and that's how they got there, I think that's one of the ways they actually keep you poor. They actually make you falsely believe that there's some kind of righteousness in poverty, that somehow being poor makes you a better person than the rich person, and that's just not true. In fact, I would say if you are a good person, having financial security makes you a better person. Having wealth makes you a better person if you're already a good person. See, it's about what kind of person you're choosing to be. So if you're a good human being, then all wealth does is wealth doesn't change you. Wealth accelerates what you already are. So if you're a drug addict, then wealth will make you a bigger drug addict. If you're a killer, wealth will allow you to kill more people. But if you're a good person and charitable and helping others, wealth will allow you to expand your capacity to help others. If you are a person who's a builder, then wealth will help you build more. If you like books, wealth will help you buy more books. So that's how I would look at wealth, because when you get to the point where you start thinking that wealth is bad and inherently evil, then what they're kind of doing is I think they're keeping you poor, because every time you get a chance to have money, you're going to say, "Oh, I don't want money because that's going to make me bad," or "I don't want to be one of them." And I think that that's inherently wrong. And this would be my constructive critique even for things like the Black Panther movement. Is I think the Black Panther movement, I wish it had embraced Black economics a little bit more, without thinking that. But again, if you're a Marxist, then you inherently kind of are raised to think all for anything even remotely similar to capitalism or money is bad. Oh, that's the rich guy. Or don't, oh, look at you. You think you better than everybody else because you got that business, and you just, wealthy people ain't got the same problems as poor people. No, they don't, but they have different problems. There are problems that come with having wealth. There are problems that come with poverty. I'd rather have the rich people problems than to have the poor people problems. But either way, you're gonna have problems, which again, from a strategic standpoint, speaks to why we should teach our children to be problem solvers. That's where training in critical thinking skill, mathematics, stuff like that is so essential. Because as being a black person, there's no greater situation that calls for problem solving than being black, especially being a black man. You're 35 years old, you got a million problems. You're trying to figure out how am I going to feed the kids, love my spouse, do good on my job, take care of my health, manage my mental health. Like you got a lot of problems. So problem solving skill is essential for wealth accumulation and success. Yeah. What do you think about AI technology stocks? Okay, Karen. So I do have a list of AI stocks. I don't know if you text the word stock to the number 87948, text stock to 87948, and I'll send you a list of AI stocks that I put together a while back. And there's some ETFs in there like AIQ. AIQ is a great ETF that I like, that I've owned. I like Kathy Wood's ETFs a lot. Even though Kathy, some years she has bad years, some years are good, but I like her as a long-term investment. Let's see, Doc, how much should I be investing if I make 45K per month from my job after my mortgage is like 3,500? Okay. How much cash should I have on hand? Does cash on hand mean not in a non-retirement investment account? Okay, so good questions. If I mean, I think you just pick a benchmark and stick to it. So the benchmark varies based on your situation. So if you're making 4 or 5K per month and you have a spouse that's making 3 to 4K per month, then your investment criteria will be different from a single person trying to do it. Being single pretty much is like, being single versus say married and having a teammate, it's like having one leg versus two legs. It's harder to run as fast on one leg as you could on two. And but we're trained to be a one-legged society. We're trained to not make the sacrifices required to maintain healthy relationships as a key variable in economic security. I mean, we just every conversation's like, even if you factor money in, even if you think about money when you're choosing your partner, like they go off about that. People are like, why would you pick somebody based on money? Why would money matter to you? Why would you say that you want a man who makes a certain amount of money and that's evil, that's bad? There's nothing bad about wanting to be secure. There's nothing bad about wanting to have resources. There's nothing bad about wanting to feed your children. So I would say, having a teammate really makes a big difference. But with that being said, maybe you pick a benchmark. Maybe it's 10%. 10% is better than most people. Most people don't even save 10% of their income. So I would treat it like a budget item. Like a lot of people spend first and save what's left. I say you save first and then spend what's left. Save and then invest. You save your money and then you put it into the stock portfolio. You let it grow. Bam, you're good. And that can be an effective strategy. So maybe 10%, maybe 15%. They tell you to tithe 10% to the pastor. Well, I think you should tie 10% to your descendants as well. Tie 10% to your future. I think that's a good start. Doc, what are your thoughts on OTLY? I don't know if it's okay. It's 69 cents. I'm not. I mean, if you want stocks like that, pink sheet stocks, or you said it's not pink sheet yet, but it's a definitely like a penny stock. I'm not a big fan of penny stocks. There's a lot of market mechanics that dictate why they're kind of like a long shot, but you never know. Maybe you buy some and it grows or whatever, but be really careful about thinking about your stocks like a lottery ticket. I think quality companies on average are the best move. Let's see here. Doc, you still bullish on Mara, ELDN, and Riot. Um, ELDN, I don't know that one, but Mara and Riot, yeah, I own both of those. And I also do I sell my options on those. If you want to learn how to make income selling stock options, feel free to text the word options to 87948 and I'll invite you to our Prime program. So just text options to 87948. Can you post the link for group coaching? I'm a Prime member. You know what, Dolores? I don't have that link with me right now. But if you want to be a part of the group, we haven't done a group in a little bit. Well, maybe we might do another group maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. If you want to be in the group, and it's no more than 6 people, just email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. Support at theblackbusinessschool.com. They'll connect you with Chanel, who sets up the groups. I got to do a lot of traveling in the next several weeks, and so, and I also just with it being 2025, and I lost my mom in on the Christmas Eve, so I'm changing just a little bit, like kind of sitting back. I think you need some time to kind of reflect on stuff and decide where you are in life and where you want to go next. So one thing I decided to do was take a few different trips, and to see my daughter, and then also to let's see, I'm giving a speech at an event at Bowie State on February 1st. I'm gonna go see Dr. Claude Anderson while I'm up there too. It's called, I think, is it called Wealth Summit? It's the URL, thewealthsummit.org. I can't remember. Oh, gosh. Email support at theblackbusinessschool.com if you want to come out. It's a good situation. I can't remember. I got to get the URL. I'll share it in class. And then on the what happens after that? And then there's something on the like 16th. Oh, that's right. I'm going to go to the Daytona 500. LeVar Scott is we sponsor a NASCAR driver. I don't know if y'all know that, but we sponsor a black NASCAR driver named LeVar Scott, and he wears a black business school suit when he races. It's very cool, and he's an awesome young man. I think he's 22 years old now, and he I met him at the Daytona 2 years ago, and he almost won in his division. He's in the lower divisions. He's working his way up. He was Rookie of the Year this year. And I want y'all to know about LeVar Scott because he's just a great guy and he's really courageous and super talented. He came to the All Black National Convention, and I hope you'll follow him on social media. I think we got to support our young people. So what we do is we break LeVar off, money because racing costs money. So just this past week, the Black Business School bought him a racing simulator because I said, man, I'm really proud of you. You kicked ass last year. let's get that first win this year, right? Because he what will happen is he'll get like second or third place. That's why he was rookie of the year because you get points, right? So he's really good, but he wants that big win. He wants to do donuts in the winner's circle. And I said, man, you're gonna do your donuts this year. You go get it, black man. Don't be scared. So and he's not scared. He's an amazing guy and he trains really hard. So I said, let me finance a simulator for you so you can train at home and be obsessed. And I was talking about being obsessed with being great with greatness. I said, it's like Michael Jordan. He didn't go to parties and stuff. He was in the basketball court. He was in the gym. And I said, I don't know if I'm Michael Jordan or not, but I can tell you that when my friends were partying, I was studying. I did stuff that other people weren't willing to do, so I could live like other people can't have a hard time living. So I said the same thing is true for you. You got this. Go get it. So he's gonna go get it this year, and I'm gonna go watch him at the Daytona. So and then on the 21st, we're doing our millionaire trading camp, and it's gonna be in Miami. We were gonna do it in LA, but for obvious reasons, LA is not the best place right now. No disrespect, love you in LA, but shoot, ooh, buddy, that's a tough situation to fly into. And so rather than LA, we're gonna go to Miami. And we got our hotel that we think we're gonna make the contract with. And as soon as that's ready, I'll let you guys know. I hope you'll come down. It'll be a chance for us to meet each other and network over the weekend. And we are gonna do a lot of deep work on economics and connecting and the businesses and the investments and you just name it. And it's just gonna be fun too. All right, so let's see here. What are the cannabis stocks again? You know what? I don't have the list of cannabis stocks with me. Um, I'm sure it's somewhere out there. I sent it out to you guys. If you're on the text list, if you text morning to 87948, I think that actually goes out to you guys automatically. Also, if you can't find it, you can email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. Let's see. I'm in love with LCID, Lucid, and your pick versus your pick Neo. Do you love Lucid or should I pass? You know what? I saw a Lucid car recently and it was a really nice car, but I still don't want a Lucid car and I don't want to buy Lucid stock. But at the same time, that's not because there's something wrong with it. It's just that I don't know if EVs are getting the support they deserve. However, if they did suddenly start to support EVs, then the EV stocks could end up taking off. So if you're not giving up on EVs, then I don't see why not. I mean, maybe an ETF might be a little bit better because that way you don't have to pick the winning company. You can just pick the industry, right? We know the industry. If you believe in the industry, you don't have to know whether a certain company is going to win or not. And so yeah, but I'm gonna tell you the most exciting EVs right now are China. Like BYD is just killing it. They're so much better than Tesla and everybody else. They just won't let them into the United States because it's almost like like a girl who has a boyfriend who won't let anyone look at her because he knows that there's a better man that would want to date her instead of him. So he gets really jealous and says, "I you can't even go outside because I don't want anybody to see you and I don't want him to be around you." Right? So because they know that if Americans were around Chinese EVs, we wouldn't buy American EVs. The Chinese are so gangster with their electric vehicles. They have a car that they created that has a flying car inside the back seat, inside the trunk. I don't know if has anybody seen that? It is amazing. It's expensive. It's like $250,000, but that's not insanely expensive, but it's expensive. But literally, this big thing, it looks like a Tesla truck, except it's not ugly like a Tesla truck. It has six wheels on it, and it can go through all different kinds of terrain. It can drive itself. You can just hit a button, pre-program your route. It'll get you there. It'll go wherever. And then in the back, you can pull out this helicopter basically a big and it's really fancy, it's really nice and comfortable, it looks comfortable, and this helicopter you can program it and say I want to go to blah 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 the coordinates and it'll just fly itself. And the cool thing, if I'm not mistaken, is that while you're flying in the helicopter to go where you got to go, the car will follow you and meet you at the destination. How cool is that? Tell me that ain't the coolest stuff you've ever seen in your life, right? So literally, I kind of feel like these I don't know. I feel like American EV companies just can't hold up to China. So I'm curious to see how that game ends. I heard you while also trying to listen to Constance. Okay, so you listen to me and Constance at the same time. Yeah, yeah. In fact, actually, I'm gonna end this in a second because I want to support Constance. So I'm gonna put the link in here. She's doing her 7-figure blueprint. Y'all listen to me every day, so I'm gonna put the link in there. So I encourage you to go support this black woman. She's smart. She's one of our faculty members in the Black Business School, and she's actually going to come to the millionaire training camp, so you can meet her in person if you'd like to. So Fanny says, how to donate to LeVar. You know what? Email support at theblackbusinessschool.com, and that'll be a chance to donate to LeVar, or by supporting the school. You're supporting him because the more support we get, the more we're able to do things for people. We also make donations in case you want to know other. We donate to a lot of stuff. I guess I just don't talk about it much, but we donate. I don't made a donation today to something called Angie's House. Angela Stanton King. She's political. She's on the right wing, but she believes deeply in. She's not just pro-life, but she's pro-life with a solution. So she's pro-life, but she also says, I'm building. She built something called Angie's House, that where she says, look, if we're going to tell women to have these kids, then we should provide a place to support them. So Angie's House is for mothers that are struggling to go there and live with their children and be fed and be taken care of and all that. So I make regular donations to Angie's House on behalf of the Black Business School. And it's personal. Honestly, it is personal for me because my mother, and maybe it's in honor of my mother. That was another reason I called. I texted her just this morning. I said, I'm making another donation. Um, and it's honor of my mother because I told you all about how my mother had that choice. My mother was encouraged to get rid of me because she did not have enough money. So if that so that gives you some idea of my complicated relationship with money. It's like, wow, so you mean not having enough money would have been enough justification in the minds of some for my mother to get rid of me. And you see where that has a racial bias to some extent because black people have less money than white people, which says that black people have less of a right to live than other people. You cannot make a life or death decision based on money, in my opinion. And but that's also another reason why it's dangerous to be the CEO of a healthcare company because because you're making life or death decisions based on money all the time. And then so that's when someone says Luigi Mangione says, well, your life, if my life is only worth a couple of dollars, your life ain't gonna be worth nothing right now. And that's just a ugly downward spiral. I think that some things should be sacred and protected from capitalism. That's the point. Some things shouldn't come down to how much money you got in your pocket. Your money does not determine your worth. Money does not determine, how valuable and how meaningful you are. But that's the society we live in. We think that rich people matter more than poor people. So I want you to have money. I want you to have wealth, but I don't want you to be a capitalist. I don't want you sucked into these really evil and unethical ways of viewing money. Like, well, because you're poor, you're not as important as me. That's silly. Because my mother was poor and I was poor because she was my mother, people say, well, that baby shouldn't even be here because y'all ain't got no money. There ain't no cost of admission to the game of life. There shouldn't be a price. There's no toll you should pay to go through the birth canal, right? You pay a toll to go across a bridge in New York City. You shouldn't have to pay a toll to come out of the womb of your mother. So anyway, long story short, we donated to Angie's House, and that's why. We've also given to a few black-owned schools, stuff like that. We make donations pretty regularly. All right, let's see. Could you please drop the text again for the AI stock list? Yeah, Kevin, it's text the word stock, STOCK to 87948. So get on your phone, text stock to the number 87948. What are your thoughts on GEVO? I don't have it in front of me right now, so they're investing big on the stock and we're awarded $1 billion. Okay. I don't know much about GEVO. We can do that on Stock Market Tuesday if you want to bring it up then. Um, if the government's making an investment in it, that means somebody believes in the company, but that doesn't mean that it's a good stock to buy because stock prices react instantly to publicly available information. But if you have a bad day, like yesterday was a bad day for the whole market. So on a bad day, all the stocks tend to go down in value and in price. That might be an opportunity to buy in if you believe in the vision of the company. Regina, how would you invest 20K in the stock market for children? I would buy mutual funds. I would look at something like VOO, Victor Oscar Oscar, SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee. I would put the money in there. I would plant the seed and don't touch it. Just let the money grow. And the money's going to grow a lot, especially if your kids are really young. It'll have plenty of time to grow. The more time you invest in anything, the bigger it's going to grow. The more time you allow the stock market to do what it does, the more your wealth will grow. Um, the other thought on that too is, as I mentioned before, we put together that list of 5 good stocks to buy for children. Remind me to get that to you this week. I'll make sure I get that to you. And also, if you want to look at our Black Business School for Children, a URL you can go to kind of see our 5-in-1 program where your kids can learn real estate, crypto, entrepreneurship, stock market investing, etc., is blackmoneykids.com, blackmoneykids.com. So feel free to type that in the chat, blackmoneykids.com. I'm homeless and need donations. Okay, Jessica. Well, if we can support you in some way, email support at theblackbusinessschool.com and we'll see what we can do. I'm very sorry about that. Yeah, I met a guy, and when I was in LA, I was trying to find, I was going to a meeting and I was trying to find my way to this mall, and there was a guy who was on the corner, and he was about to, he had one of those signs like, donation, please, stuff like that. And he was black, and I looked out the window and I gave him some money. And I said, "Hey man, how do I get to the such and such mall?" And it was really funny because he goes, "Oh yeah, okay, Dr. Watkins. So what you got to do is you got to go here and go here and here." And I was like, "Oh," he said, "Dr. Watkins." I said, "Hey, how you doing, man?" He said, "Yeah, man, I'm in the Black Business School, man. I love what you're doing, man." And I said, "You're in the Black Business School?" He said, "Yeah, man, I don't have a whole lot of money, but I want to sign. I signed up for your class." And I said, "I need you to reach out to my people, get a refund, please, because if you're homeless, I don't want you spending your money. No, you got to get a place to live first, like to handle your business first, right? Let's do the basics." Yeah, and I was impressed with the dedication, though. I mean, I made a bigger donation after that, but I was like, no, 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 no. Like, and if you're in that kind of distress, like, or maybe you live in LA and you went through a hard time or something, email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. Maybe there's something we can do, to help. I don't know exactly what, but yeah, yeah, I don't want anybody in distress over what we're doing. We are trying to build. We have to raise money. This is a black-owned institution. We dedicated hundreds of thousands of hours of labor. We have tons of people that have to work to make this thing go. But so I hope you understand that. But no, I don't want your last dollar. I'd rather work something out and we form a partnership. Now, here's where money does matter. Here's where I do think that free enterprise does a better job than just flat out charity or getting money from the government or white folks or corporations does for black liberation. Freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. That's just what it is. This is part of what I call economic maturity. I talk about this in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Freedom is not free. You must finance your own liberation. You cannot be liberated if other people are giving you jobs, if other people are giving you money, if other people are paying your bills. It's no different from when I was 17 and I lived with my parents. I could not do what I wanted to do living under their roof. I had to go out and get my own place and have my own space. So with that said, I think if I was to go back in time and participate with the leadership of some of the biggest black movements in history, like the civil rights movement in particular and the Black Panther movement, I totally would have said, like, what is your economic plan? How are you going to make money? I don't we're not just going to do donations. We can't just do donations because charity can is not a sustainable business model. We're not going to wait for corporations to give us money because then we're going to be a bunch of sellouts. Like, look at how many people were part of the civil rights movement who eventually just started selling out to corporations. They'd be like, "We shall overcome. That's why you need to buy Verizon." Or you go to like the Congressional Black Caucus convention. No disrespect, but I mean, you see corporate sponsors everywhere. You can't really do so. You can only do so much without defying the wishes of the people who are paying the bills. You offend the wrong person, you're done. You're economically slaughtered. So you have to have a business model. You have to have something that is going to fuel the engine in case nobody wants to give you a ride. So in the Black Business School, we only take money from certain sources, certain spaces we do not take money from. But then second of all, everything can't be free. This cannot be a charitable organization because we can't live. Charity is not a sustainable business model. Charity does not lead to real power. So, so what I would say if I was going to the Black Panther Party and I went back in time, I would say to them, "I like your free lunch program. That's very Marxist of you. I think that's great. But the problem is that the number of kids you can feed, the number of kids you can help is limited by your dependence on charity. Or maybe you're hoping to get a government grant or something. I don't think that's going to really work. I think that rather than doing the free lunch program, I think you should have the 25-cent lunch program or maybe the 10-cent lunch program. And what you do is you allow people that are in financial distress, like those who really don't have anything, you say, "Come on in, we're going to feed you for free." So that's fine. But you gotta pay for the food somehow. Well, how do you pay for the food? Well, when you get that Negro that comes up in there that's got a pocket full of money or is about to run down to the liquor store and go spend his money over there, you say, no, 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 buddy. We know you're about to spend $10 at the liquor store. You got to spend $3 with us. Give you if you want to eat here and you've got the means to pay, we need you to pay something because freedom is not free. The revolution must be funded. You have to contribute. We're showing you that we're supporting you, but you got to show us you're going to support us because economics must be reciprocal. I'm showing my love to you by feeding you. You got to show some economic love back to us so we can keep this damn thing going. You cannot drive a car 100,000 miles and never change the oil, never get a tune up, never fix the flat tire. That car will not last. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you all get what I'm saying? So the reciprocity isn't just something that should happen with, political organizations, or economic or educational institutions like this one. It should happen in your own family. You can't have a family economic structure where two or three people are just leeching off the family and taking and not giving anything back. Those people, to some extent, have to be economically disconnected for the survival of the institution. It's like you're in a boat and they're poking holes in the boat. You can't do that. So it's okay for you to take, but you should also be interested in giving as you are taking. And this is why black economic self-esteem is so critical. Why self-love matters because people that have low self-esteem tend to see themselves as nothing but victims. They're like, oh, can you help me? Like that cousin that's always asking to borrow money, but ain't never loaned you nothing, ain't never paid you back, ain't never offered you nothing. Because in their mind, I'm the victim. And because you went to college and you have a good job, you should be funding me and taking care of me. But I have nothing to offer you. So that's a self-esteem. That's a mindset for sure, Calvin. Great word. That's a self-esteem issue. He doesn't see how he can be an asset to anyone. He only sees himself as a liability. But if you go to any accounting statement of any corporation or organization on the planet, and if all they got are liabilities and no assets, what's going to happen to that organization? What's going to happen to that corporation if they got nothing but liabilities and no assets? It's just like when Ohio State won that big game yesterday. Somebody had to do their damn job. Somebody had to come through. I can cover for you, man, but sometimes I need you to cover for me because if I'm always covering for you, I'm gonna kick your ass off the team. We have accountability. You have to have that in order for the team to win. Because if everybody needs to be covered, then there's no coverage for anyone. Because there's nothing being brought to the table. Everybody's coming there to eat, but ain't nobody bringing a plate to the family picnic. So everybody's got to bring a plate, bring a soda, bring some juice, bring some napkins. Everybody should be contributing to something, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the model. If you want to know what the model is, the model for the Black Business School is what we call a subsidy model. Look, if you struggling and you ain't got it, we work with you. We give you more stuff for free. I know this for a fact because we've done the surveys. We give you more for free than your university gave you, and they charge you $200,000. But then there's a point where we say, okay, we know you got something in your pocket. We know you about to go over to Walmart and Target and Apple and all these other places and drop money on these other people that we know don't care nothing about you. We know these things. So just break us off something. Like help us complete the mission. Help us make something happen. You've seen it. We're showing you. This is real. We're getting the job done. And we're getting it done at a level better than anyone in history. There is no black wealth institution on the planet that does what we do the way we do it at the level that we do it. There is none. I challenge you. Go find me a person with a PhD in finance at the highest levels that's reaching millions of people and literally laying out specific, concrete, actionable steps to lead to transformative outcomes when it comes to wealth. And where this comes from is I ain't got time for no BS. I ain't got time for stuff that just sounds good but doesn't work. I don't have time for theory. I don't have time for like a lot of emotional ideas that don't lead to anything. I want to see, does it actually work? We're gonna do the math. Does 2 plus 2 still equal 4? Or are y'all still trying to tell us that 2 plus 2 is 186? That doesn't work. So boots on the ground, let's get it done for your family. And if you don't feel like that, if you don't feel like we're helping you get it done, then you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't, we shouldn't talk because maybe there's not a connection. But for those of you that see this, I want you to just really understand the business model. And I love this. I mean, to me is a reminder that we don't need nobody but us. We don't need other people saving us and taking care of us and man, to hell with that. The way I think we can operate is we can say, look, I'm not apologizing for nothing. I'm not begging you for nothing. If you want to help, you can, but we don't need your help. We're gonna come in and we're gonna fight and we're gonna compete for what we want. That's right. So I believe in competition. I believe in fighting for what you want, standing up for yourself and believing in yourself and your family enough and seeing your own worth enough that you don't need other people to validate what you already know about yourself. So yeah. So to some extent that's the cocky side of me. I don't need their validation because I got God's validation. I know they didn't want me here, but God wanted me here. I know that you want me here. I know that I want me here, and that's what's going to be. So I'm done talking. Thank you for. I'm putting the soapbox away. Thank you guys for listening. Let's get out of here. Let's go. Here's the link to Constance's seven-figure blueprint. See, here I am. I kept talking. That's what happens. I start talking, and then I end up talking longer than I plan to. But here's the link. If you want to go join Constance, you guys can come in for free. If you want to see the recording of everything she's doing, you can do a free trial. The Fly Nubian Money Club. Oh no, I can't actually. You know what? My laptop is acting weird. I already put the link in there earlier. And actually, you should have gotten it if you're on the text list for this class. You should have gotten the link already. For whatever reason, my laptop's doing something weird where I can't copy and paste stuff. I have no idea. I got to reboot it. But if you want to get on the text list for the class, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Also, later on, I think on Monday, Jay Cameron is coming in. His company is going to help us take a trip to Ghana this summer. So if you want to go to Ghana and you want to know more about that, he's doing an informational session this week. He's going to be our guest on Monday for class. And then, last but not least, I will text you all that list of 5 stocks that you may want to get for your children. And so be on the lookout for that. It'll probably come out maybe Tuesday. So have a good day, everybody.